So, what does it really mean to be a good person? It's a huge question, right? Well, today we're not going to hand you some simple rulebook. Instead, we're going to deconstruct the very idea of morality. Our goal is to give you a new way to think about it, not just a list of things to do. And let's be real. In a world that feels so divided and confusing, trying to figure out right from wrong can feel, well, impossible. Where do you even begin to look for a moral compass these days? You know, the source material we're looking at today doesn't pull any punches. It describes this feeling as a kind of social malaise, like a deep sickness in society. So this isn't just some abstract philosophical exercise. It's about trying to find a real answer to the problems we see all around us every single day. So here's our game plan. First, we'll touch on why this conversation is so urgent right now. Then we're going to bust two huge myths about where morality comes from. After that, we get to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer, this concept of form over content. We'll wrap it all up with a practical task for your own decisions and get to what's truly at the heart of being a moral person. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, a society in need. We've all seen the problems. Understanding morality isn't just for academics. It's about figuring out how we can start to repair the fabric of our communities and build something, a little bit better. All right, let's tackle our first big myth. For a lot of folks, morality and religion are basically the same thing. But what if there's another way to think about it? Let's explore this idea of a secular morality. For literally billions of people, the answer to what's the right thing to do comes straight from holy books or from religious leaders. These sources provide a very clear and often absolute authority on how to live your life. And this is where we see a really important distinction. Religious morality is often authoritarian. The rules come from the outside, from a higher power, and they're fixed. Secular morality, on the other hand, is all about being autonomous. It's built on our own ability to reason, and because of that, it can change and evolve over time. So, what happens when a moral code that never changes smacks up against a world that's always changing? Well, relying on a rigid external authority can really limit our freedom to think for ourselves, and it has a hard time dealing with complex modern issues, like overpopulation, that might require solutions such as contraception that ancient texts just couldn't have possibly foreseen. Okay, so if religion isn't the only game in town, what about just having a universal set of rules? A list of virtues like always tell the truth or always practice nonviolence. Sounds simple enough, but let's dig in and see why that might not be the whole story. This brings us to a big philosophical idea called the objective theory of good. The source material calls this the bag of virtues approach. It's the idea that some things, like truth, are just objectively good, all the time, no matter what. Period. But let's put that idea to the test. Is telling the truth always the right move? What if you had to lie to protect someone from being harmed? All of a sudden, that simple bag of virtues starts to feel a whole lot more complicated, doesn't it? And this really gets to the heart of the issue. Just like a rigid religious code, a fixed list of virtues can also be authoritarian. It takes away our autonomy, our power, and our responsibility to think things through for ourselves. So, if it's not religion and it's not a fixed list of rules, then what's left? This right here is the central idea, the big reveal of our entire explainer. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. Maybe it's not just about what you do, but how and why you decide to do it. First, let's just get our terms straight. The content of a moral act is simply the action itself. It's the thing you actually do, like telling the truth. Easy enough. Okay, but now we have the form. This is the game changer. This isn't the action itself, but the quality of your thinking that led to the action. It's your rational process, the why behind your what. And this leads us to the main event, the idea that true moral worth comes from the process, not just the final action. An act is good not just because of what it is, but because it's the result of sound, reasoned, and principled thinking. Now, that's a powerful idea, but it also sounds a little abstract. So how do we actually apply it? How can we test the quality of our own moral reasoning? Let's get practical and look at a framework you can actually use. The philosopher Hegel actually provides a fantastic 4-point checklist for this. First, be consistent. Your beliefs can't contradict each other. Second, generalize your principle. Act in a way that you'd be okay with everyone else acting. Third, use good reasons. Base your choices on evidence and logic, not just a gut feeling. And fourth, be publicly intelligible.
Your reasoning should be something you can explain to other rational people and have it make sense. Okay, for our final section, let's bring it all home. We're going to connect everything we've talked about to the idea of moral education and the true intention behind our actions.
This chart really highlights a crucial difference. You've got moral instruction, which is basically just about compliance, following the rules. Then there's moral training, which is about building habits through repetition. But true moral education, well, that's about developing autonomy. It's about empowering people to think critically for themselves. Building on this, the philosopher Immanuel Kant gives us two final non-negotiable conditions for an act to even count as moral. First, it absolutely has to be a free choice. If you're forced to do it, it's not a moral act. And second, it has to be motivated by what he called goodwill. So what is goodwill? Well, Kant famously said it's the only thing in the entire universe that is good without any strings attached. It's the pure intention to do the right thing, simply because it is the right thing to do, and for no other reason. This leads to Kant's most important distinction. Imagine a surgeon who runs a free clinic. If she does it because it's great publicity for her practice, her action is merely in accordance with duty. It looks good on the outside, sure, but it has no real moral worth. But if she does it simply because it's the right thing to do, then she is acting for the sake of duty. And that right there is where true moral value is found. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you face a choice, don't just ask, what should I do? Ask yourself, why am I doing it? Is your action really driven by a genuine goodwill, or is it just about good optics? The answer might just reveal the true heart of your own morality.